The wind howled, dust and smoke filled the air. The sun, a pale ghost behind the haze, cast long, eerie shadows. This was Earth, but not the Earth of old. Wars had ravaged the planet. Cities lay in ruins, monuments to a forgotten peace. Among the ruins, scavengers fought for scraps. Hope was a luxury few could afford. But even in this darkness, whispers traveled on the wind. Whispers of a legend, whispers of a warrior. They called her the Steel Crescent, a warrior clad in shimmering armor, more advanced than any had seen. She moved like a phantom, striking with the speed and precision of a machine. Her enemies trembled at her name. Some said she was a myth, a story to frighten children. Others, those who had witnessed her wrath, knew better. They knew she was real. They knew she was their only hope. Her story began in a small village, nestled amongst the ruins. She was just a girl then, Ayla, orphaned by war, hardened by loss. One day she stumbled upon a hidden bunker, a relic of a forgotten age. Inside she found it. The armor, cold and lifeless, hummed with a strange energy. It called to her. With trembling hands she touched the metal. A surge of power coursed through her, forging a bond that would change her destiny. Ayla trained in secret, mastering the armor's systems, honing her body and mind. Years passed. She dedicated herself to becoming the best warrior she could be, knowing that one day she would need to protect those she loved. Her training was relentless, pushing her to the brink of exhaustion, but she never wavered. She learned to control her breathing, to focus her mind, and to harness the power of the armor that had been entrusted to her. Every day was a new challenge, a new opportunity to grow stronger. The girl became a weapon, forged in the fires of sorrow and determination. Her resolve was unbreakable, her spirit indomitable. She was no longer the frightened child who had once cowered in the shadows. She was a warrior, ready to face any challenge that came her way. The armor became an extension of her body, a second skin that she wore with pride. She knew that she was destined for greatness, that her path was one of honor and sacrifice. Her first battle came sooner than expected. The peace she had known was shattered in an instant, replaced by the chaos of war. She had always known that this day would come, but she had hoped for more time. There was no time for hesitation, no time for doubt. She had to act, and she had to act quickly. The fate of her village depended on it. Raiders, merciless and cruel, descended upon her village. Fear turned to fury. The sight of her home being torn apart, the screams of her friends and family, ignited a fire within her. She could not stand by and watch as everything she loved was destroyed. She had to fight, to protect those who could not protect themselves. The raiders were ruthless, but they had not counted on facing someone like Ayla. Ayla, now the Steel Crescent, met them head-on. She charged into battle with a fierce determination, her heart pounding in her chest. The armor gave her strength, but it was her will that drove her forward. She fought with everything she had, every ounce of her being focused on the task at hand. The raiders were taken aback by her ferocity, but they quickly regrouped and pressed their attack. The air crackled with energy as she fought, her scimitar a blur of light. Each swing of her weapon was precise, each strike deadly. She moved with a grace and speed that seemed almost otherworldly, her movements a dance of death. The raiders had never seen anything like it, and they began to falter. But Ayla knew that she could not let up, not for a moment. She had to keep fighting, to keep pushing forward. She was a whirlwind of steel and fury, cutting down her enemies. Her mind was focused, her body a weapon. She fought with a single-minded determination, her only goal to protect her village. The raiders were relentless, but so was she. She could feel the weight of the armor, the strain on her muscles, but she pushed through the pain. She had to. There was no other choice.
They will never take my home, not while I stand. Her voice was steady, her resolve unshaken. She knew that this was just the beginning, that there would be more battles to come, but she was ready. She had trained for this, prepared for this. She would not let her village fall. She would fight, and she would win. For her home, for her people, for herself. The Steel Crescent would not be defeated.
Word of her victory spread. People flocked to her banner, seeking protection, finding hope. A resistance was born with the Steel Crescent at its heart, but every victory attracted new enemies. Among them, a figure shrouded in shadow. Enemy commander, I Am Khan. He was cunning and ruthless, a master strategist who commanded a legion of drones. Enemy commander, the Steel Crescent is not a hero, she is an obstacle. He vowed to break her. Section 6. A wound of betrayal. In the heart of the conflict, where trust was a rare commodity, betrayal was a wound that cut the deepest. This chapter delves into the treacherous events that unfolded, shaking the very foundation of the Steel Crescent. Khan's attacks were relentless, each one testing the Steel Crescent's defenses. His strategy was not just to overpower but to undermine, to erode the unity that held the Steel Crescent together. The city was under siege and the air was thick with the sounds of battle, clashing swords, the hum of drones, and the cries of the wounded. He sowed seeds of doubt, turning allies against each other. Whispers of treachery spread like wildfire, and trust became a fragile thread. Then came the betrayal that would change everything. It was not just a physical attack but a psychological one, aimed at the very heart of their camaraderie. Spy, one of Isla's closest lieutenants, driven by fear and manipulated by Khan's cunning, lured her into a trap. The lieutenant, once a trusted ally, now a pawn in Khan's game, led Ayla into the dark alley where danger awaited. The betrayal was a calculated move designed to break her spirit and weaken the Steel Crescent from within. Khan watched, a satisfied smirk on his face as his drones surrounded her. He had orchestrated this moment with precision, knowing that capturing Ayla would be a significant blow to the Steel Crescent. His eyes gleamed with the cold satisfaction of a predator who had cornered his prey. The Steel Crescent fought back, but she was outnumbered, outmatched. Ayla, a fierce warrior, stood her ground, her blade flashing in the dim light. She fought with the strength of desperation, knowing that her capture would spell doom for her comrades. But the odds were against her, and the enemy closed in from all sides. Just when all hope seemed lost, a handful of loyal followers fought their way to her side. These brave souls, undeterred by the chaos, cut through the enemy lines with a fierce determination. Their arrival was a beacon of hope in the darkness, a reminder that loyalty and courage still had a place in this war-torn world. They barely escaped with their lives. The forest at dusk became their sanctuary, a place to regroup and heal. The wounds of betrayal were deep, but the Steel Crescent's spirit was not broken. They would live to fight another day, their resolve hardened by the trials they had faced. The battle was far from over, and the Steel Crescent would rise again, stronger and more united than ever. Section 7. Rise from the Ashes. Ayla was devastated. The betrayal cut deep, shaking her faith. She retreated to the ruins of her old village, seeking solace in the silence. But the whispers followed her. Whispers of hope, of defiance, of the people who still believed in her. Steel Crescent as Ayla. She had a choice to surrender to despair or rise again, stronger than before. She looked at the remnants of her armor, at the faces of her loyal friends, and she chose. Section 8. The Reckoning. The final battle took place in the heart of a ruined megacity. The once thriving metropolis now lay in ruins, a testament to the devastation that had swept through it. Skyscrapers, once symbols of human achievement, were now skeletal remains, their glass facades shattered and their steel frames twisted. The streets, once bustling with life, were now eerily silent, littered with debris and the remnants of a society that had crumbled under the weight of conflict. Khan, overconfident, waited with his drone army. His eyes scanned the horizon, confident that his technological superiority would ensure his victory. The drones hovered around him, their sensors scanning for any signs of movement. Khan's arrogance was palpable, his belief in his invincibility unwavering. He had underestimated his opponent, a mistake that would cost him dearly. He underestimated the Steel Crescent. Ayla, the leader of the resistance, was not one to be taken lightly. Her resolve was unbreakable, her determination unmatched. She had faced countless adversaries and emerged victorious each time. Her reputation as a fierce warrior was well earned, and she was ready to prove it once again. Reforged and re-energized, she emerged from the dust storm, her armor gleaming brighter than ever before. The dust swirled around her, creating an almost ethereal aura. Her eyes, filled with steely determination, locked onto Khan. She was a force to be reckoned with, and she was ready to bring the fight to him. Steel Crescent, as Ayla, the battle raged. The clash of metal against metal echoed through the ruins, a symphony of destruction. Ayla moved with precision and grace, her every strike calculated and deadly. The battlefield was a chaotic dance of violence, with warriors clashing in a desperate struggle for survival. Drones fell, their metal carcasses littering the battlefield. The once formidable machines were reduced to scrap, their circuits fried and their frames shattered. Ayla's forces fought with a ferocity that matched her own, their determination to win driving them forward despite the odds. Ayla fought her way to Khan, her fury a tangible force. Her movements were a blur, her strikes precise and devastating. She cut through Khan's forces with ease, her path to him clear. Her eyes never wavered from her target, her focus unbreakable. She was a whirlwind of destruction and nothing would stand in her way. Their final clash shook the very foundations of the ruined city. The ground trembled beneath their feet, the air filled with the sound of their battle. The force of their blows sent shockwaves through the ruins, causing buildings to collapse and debris to rain down around them. It was a battle of epic proportions, a true test of strength and will. When the dust settled, only one figure remained standing. Isla, battered but unbroken, stood victorious amidst the ruins. Her armor was dented and scorched, but her spirit was unyielding. She had faced the greatest challenge of her life and emerged triumphant. The city, though devastated, was now free from Khan's tyranny. Isla had won, and with her victory came the hope of a new beginning. Section 9, Legacy of Hope. The Steel Crescent had won. Khan was defeated, his army shattered. Standing atop a mountain of rubble, she surveyed the battlefield. The cost of victory had been high, but a new dawn was breaking. Steel Crescent, as Isla. The people cheered, their voices echoing through the ruins. They saw in her not just a warrior, but a symbol of hope, a promise of a better future. The Steel Crescent, her armor bearing the scars of battle, had become a legend, and legends never die.